1485, London, the capital of England under King Henry VII. Martin Luther, initiator of the Protestant Revolution, had been born in Germany 2 years earlier. Pope Innocent VIII issued a major papal bull condemning witchcraft the previous year. Only a month ago, the city was celebrating the end of the War of the Roses, a series of civil wars fought between the houses of York and Lancaster for the throne of England. The victor, Henry Tudor, crowned Henry VII, was from the House of Lancaster. Thus began the House of Tudor, which was to rule England and Wales for more than a century. Now, all of the celebration has been swept away in a flood of panic, a deluge of fear, a torrent of hysteria, as people fall ill and die within hours. People are either frantically packing up everything of value or even abandoning all they own as they flee the city. The disease is named the sweating sickness, and it has started to spread rapidly, and physicians are clueless as to the cause. There were many diseases in the Middle Ages. Among them, and most deadly, was the Black Death, which got its name from the main symptom, which was black spots. The main carrier of the Black Death was fleas, which were carried by rats. Rat population had increased greatly over the last century due to the ongoing extermination of cats. Cats had previously kept the rat population in check, but they were killed because of their association with witchcraft and general heresy. Black Death killed an estimated 1/3 of the population from all social classes. Then there was the dancing mania, also called the Dance of St. John or the Dance of St. Vitus. The dancing mania got its name from the fact that victims of it looked like they were dancing, because periodically their legs would move out of control. The dancing mania did not kill many people, and its attacks usually centered in clusters.
September 20th, 1485. The sweating sickness. You are there.
Right before the end of the War of the Roses, a new disease struck. Because of the main symptom, it was called the sweating sickness. Sweating sickness strikes suddenly and without warning. It mainly targets young, wealthy male adults. Recently, sweating sickness has started to spread rapidly. For more information about the sweating sickness, go to correspondent Barry Atwater.
I am here in the residence of Sir William Stoker, Lord Mayor of London. Sir William Stoker, a former sheriff and member of the Court of Aldermen, assumed the office this previous November, where he received the mayoral insignia, the seal, the purse, the sword, and the mace. Not a wealthy man in his own right, he depended on the charity of his mother-in-law, Margaret Croke. Pardon me, ma'am, could I trouble you with a few questions?
Yes, you may.
May I ask your name?
I am Lady Margaret Stoker, wife of Sir William Stoker, the Right Honourable Lord Mayor of London.
What can you tell me of the sweating sickness? In particular, who is being struck by this malady?
It is quite strange. It affects mostly upper-class gentlemen, rarely serves children or women. It also seems to only affect Englishmen, no foreigners, even if they are in England.
Has anyone in your household been afflicted with the sweating sickness yet?
Thanks be to God, so far we have been untouched by this plague.
Thank you for your time, Letty. Back to you, Walter.
We now go to correspondent John Daly, who's with the Lord Mayor.
My Lord Mayor, a few questions for you.
Yes, how may I assist you?
Sir, how did the sweating sickness begin?
It started before the Battle of Bosworth, which was the penultimate battle in the war for King Henry. But it must be a punishment from God. All diseases are.
How widespread is it? Is it affecting all equally?
No, it appears to be selecting males of the upper class, although it does impact all. The only people who could be said to be profiting are the lawyers, thanks to all the wills that are being written.
Do you have anything else to add, sir?
Yes, there is a growing dissatisfaction with the church. Men of great repute are being denied burial on consecrated ground, only because they are dying so quickly before last rites can be given. I am considering leaving the church myself.
Help! The Lord Mayor requires assistance! This is most unfortunate. It appears that the Lord Mayor may have taken ill from the sweating sickness. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you, John. It's alarming how fast this disease strikes. I understand that we have correspondent Barry Atwater, the member of the local diocese. We'll try to get a view of the church on this situation. Barry?
I'm here at Westminster Abbey. I'm talking to Thomas Kemp, who is the Bishop of London and the nephew of John Kemp, Archbishop of Canterbury. What do you believe is the cause of sweating sickness?
It is divine punishment from God for the sins of the English.
What is the church doing at this time?
The priests of the diocese are being run ragged, trying to deliver last rites.
And if death occurs before the rites are given?
Then it is unfortunate, but they cannot be buried on consecrated ground.
Isn't that leading to resentment? As I understand it, during the Black Plague, Pope Clement VI granted remission of sins to all who died of plague, since so many were dying without benefit of clergy.
That is a decision that will have to come from Rome. Unfortunately, it is out of my hands.
Thank you, Bishop. Back to you, Walter.
Quite illuminating, Barry. Hold on, I understand that John Daly is with the physician treating Sir William. John?
Walter, I'm here in Sir William Stoker's chamber. It appears that he has just come down with the sweating sickness, and now his personal physician is tending to him. Excuse me, sir. May I ask you some questions while you work?
Just don't get in the way.
Is this disease just a new form of the Black Death?
No, there are many differences. One of them is how fast people die from it.
How fast is that?
It is so fast that a person can be hale and hearty in the morning and dead at noon. In fact, it usually kills in about 2 to 4 hours.
Where do you believe the sweating sickness comes from?
It is a spirit in the mist. It hovers amidst the dark clouds which cover England. Since it has been raining a lot, the spirit has fallen with the rain and infected people.
What are the symptoms of this disease?
First there is a fever and sweating. Then there is an oppression at the stomach and a headache. Then they fall into a stupor and eventually die.
Is there any cure?
Most importantly, the patient must not be allowed to sleep for 24 hours. The curative I know is to apply moderate heat, but not too much, and to make sure that the patient is not given any food, but only a small amount of mild drink. In addition, the patient must keep all limbs on the bed. If so much as a hand protrudes off the bed, it quickly becomes stiff and the patient will die. If the patient can be kept alive for 24 hours, then he is likely to survive. I must also make sure that he has little exposure with the air as possible, so as not to expose him to too much heat or cold. Even if they survive, it does not protect against a reoccurrence.
Thank you for the information. Back to you again, Walter.
Thank you, John. We are now going back to Barry Atwater, who is just outside of town. I believe he is talking to a local field hand. Barry?
Walter, I am with Peter, son of John, a serf, or indentured servant in a field outside of the city. Serfs work for a landowner, generally in an agricultural position. Peter is a villein, which means that, while he does not get paid, he leases both a cottage and land that he may work when he is not working for his landowner. How have the serfs been affected by the sweating sickness?
We have not been directly affected by the sweating sickness itself. However, we are concerned if the sweating sickness moves outside the city.
Why? What are you concerned about?
We must continue to work the lands as always, for we are not allowed to abandon the lands we live on without permission.
Thank you for your time. Walter?
Thank you for that report, Barry. We are heading back now to John Daly, who is still with Sir William Stoker. Apparently, the disease is advancing rapidly, and a barber surgeon has been called. John?
Walter, Sir Stoker is not doing well. His fever and headache are quite severe, and the physician has called for a bloodletting. As you know, physicians serve as consultants only, and the job of bloodletting belongs to the barber surgeon. The theory is that the removal of excess blood, or plethora, will alleviate the imbalance of humors. I believe the bloodletting is done from the back, because the lungs and livers of patients who have died are generally filled with blood.
Later that day, despite everything that was done for him, Sir Stoker died. Many others in London died that day, and by the end of October, thousands more died, including Sir William Stoker's successor, John Ward. In addition, the sickness took 6 aldermen and 3 sheriffs. The first epidemic ended mysteriously on New Year's Eve. In 1507, 1517, 1528, and 1551, the sweating sickness appeared and then disappeared inexplicably, with the year 1528 being the most severe. There are many puzzles about the sweating sickness. For example, it largely affected people of English ancestry, although there were other outbreaks on the continent, most notably in northern Germany. For this reason, the sweating sickness was also known as the English sweat, or sudor anglicus in Latin. In addition, all of the sweating sickness epidemics were reported to have been preceded by a period of heavy rains. The epidemics appeared suddenly and then disappeared just as suddenly, ceasing usually during a cold period. After 1551, the disease was never reported again. A cause of the sweating sickness was never determined at the time, and today it is still a topic of great debate. It's been compared to diseases known today such as relapsing fever and more recently hantavirus, although reports at the time do not match any of the suggested illnesses that closely. What sort of day was it? A day like all days, filled with those events that alter and illuminate our times. And you were there.